How's it going, guys? Thanks for stopping by the Everyday Watch channel. I'm your host, Torin, and today we're checking out this really cool dive watch from the micro brand Borealis. So if you're not familiar with Borealis, they are a micro brand watch company based out of Portugal, and the naming convention for all of their models stems from actual locations within that country. This is the version 2 iteration of the Cascais, and the name is supposed to represent some traditional Portuguese cobblestone, which is reflected very well in the dial, and this dial does provide a lot of visual interest, which is really what drew me to this watch in the first place. Now, before giving you my personal opinions on this timepiece, let's go over the basic specs first. This comes in with a case diameter of 41 millimeters, although it's slightly under 41 if you include just the case. This coin edge bezel does overhang the case just a little bit. If you take a look at the side profile, the lug to lug between my thumbs is a fairly compact 46 millimeters, and you can see those lugs turn down nicely with drilled lug openings for quick strap or bracelet changes. Case height is a reasonable 12.3 millimeters. That is to the bottom of a screwed in case back and to the top of this slightly domed sapphire crystal that does carry some anti-reflective treatment on the underside. And then I'll quickly mention that the lug gap here for the supplied bracelet is an even 20 millimeters. The bracelet is nicely brushed, it's 3 pieces, and it does taper to about 18 millimeters before you get to the B Borealis signed clasp. I like that the clasp has 6 micro adjustment anchoring points, and it's also got a nice fold-over security and twin trigger releasing mechanism here. Taking a quick look at the case back, you can see that there's a mermaid dead center there. It does give you some other information, like this watch is water resistant down to 300 meters. It does run an automatic Miyota 9015 movement, which I'll discuss in more detail soon. And the case and bracelet is made of full 316L stainless steel. Now, on the topic of a dial color, I should mention that when this watch was released last year, there were a couple of different color options available, as well as different handsets. This is my personal favorite configuration with the white dial and blue indexes with a cathedral handset and the date at the 6 o'clock position. But yeah, let's go in at a macro level and take a look at this gorgeous dial. Definitely there is a cobblestone pattern. It's very subtle, but everything seems to be weaved together like small rectangles. But then there are raised rectangles that have that nice cobblestone etched in pattern that does provide a lot of visual interest. But I was really surprised at how crisp everything looked at the macro level. Not only do you have that cobblestone pattern, if you look towards the running minute track too, you also have concentric circles that kind of move away from the weaved pattern there. And at the very periphery of a dial, you also have very nice legible blue hash marks all the way around. Now the handset and the applied indices also have nice blue surrounds to them. And I think they're chemically blued. I'd be very surprised if this was all done with thermally bluing. But it makes the watch very legible as a whole. And the handset and the applied indexes are also deeply filled with blue BGW9, as is the stainless steel bezel insert, which is a really nice touch and I didn't expect to see considering the price point. So actually, let me throw up a low light shot now, just so you guys can see how evenly this blue BGW9 just glows in the dark. I think Borealis did an excellent job in terms of low light legibility. Orientation is very easy to get as well, because you do have like a double baton at the 12 o'clock position, and the entire bezel is loomed too, so if you choose to use that as an impromptu timer, you can actually get it aligned quite easily with the minute hand. Now we should talk a little bit more about the bezel, which I think was executed quite well, but there was a small QC issue personally with this model that I own. So very nice coin edge bezel. It's nice that it does overhang the case ever so slightly so you can grip it. It's 120 click unidirectional, but the QC issue is that it is the most difficult bezel to turn out of any watch I've ever reviewed. Now the detents are actually quite precise, and I do like the action, but it's just too difficult for me to turn with gloves. Even with my bare hands, it's putting in way too much effort in my personal opinion. And I think it's only related to the current watch that I own. I've seen other reviews of this model where they actually really enjoy the bezel action, but I do have to disclose that this is one minor QC issue with the timepiece. Now if we quickly focus on the case and crown, I think they did a good job with the finishing. It's mostly a bead blasted finish, but you can see that they do have nice polished bevels near the edges of a lug, and the signed Borealis B crown is also done in high polish, and it's a 7.4 millimeter crown, which I particularly like because that means trying to actually get the watch going and setting the time is very easy to do. It is a screw down crown, so you have to unthread it, but you get a very audible pop. And then it's quite smooth to manually wind this Miyota 9015, which is a 4 Hz movement. It does give you about 42 hours of power reserve and has 24 joules. And of course you do have hacking, which if you pull it to extremity, I stop the seconds hand, and you can set to whatever reference time you like. And in the intermediate position is also the quick set for the date, which is nicely positioned at 6 o'clock and really maintains the symmetry of this watch overall. Now Borealis does tend to utilize Miyota movements in most of their timepieces, but I've had really good luck actually. This particular watch is running at a steady plus 6 seconds per day with no beat error on my time grapher, and I'm quite happy with that type of performance coming out of a micro brand watch. And here's how the Borealis Cascais sits on my 19 centimeter circumference wrist. That's 7.5 inches if you're going imperial, but it wears very comfortable. I love how the K-shape just hugs your wrist. So looking down the barrel, it's very planted. And sized up for my wrist, this watch weighs in at a nice healthy 156 grams. Alright, to conclude, let's quickly talk about pricing and any potential points for improvement. So when this watch was released, I think it originally cost $399 US, and in fact it is listed at that price currently over the US Thanksgiving weekend sale. But the regular price for this timepiece now sits at $550 US, which I still think is warranted for what you're getting in terms of a really nice dive watch, 300 meters of water resistance, really nice lume application. I do like the use of a stainless steel bezel insert. And to be honest, the details for this dial is absolutely phenomenal for any watch sub $1,000. Outside of Seiko, I don't know of any other companies that can really execute a nice textured dial like this as well. So really impressed with the cobblestone texture for this dial. Now in terms of subtle improvements, I did mention the minor QC issue with the bezel action being extremely tight. It's not practical for me to use, but again, I think this might be a quirk with this particular timepiece, which I did buy secondhand, by the way. And the last point for improvement I'll talk about, and I didn't go into too much detail, is with sizing the bracelet links. You do have nice slot screw heads here, but they are very small and kind of easy to strip. So moving forward, I would love to see if Borealis could use some slightly bigger screw pins to hold each links together. But I should mention that the articulation on this bracelet is actually quite good. There is a little bit of flex to it, but I think the overall comfort is there for this particular watch. So that's going to wrap up this review of the Borealis Cascais. If you guys have any additional questions, be sure to drop them in the comments section of this video. I do appreciate you guys watching to the end, and please consider subscribing if you enjoy this content. So until next time, I can't wait to catch you guys in the next video.